Hello everyone, it's Vanity Ezel back on the Thera overview video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this one started. But I hope you guys enjoy. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the little bell notification so you get notified whenever we upload. So today we are covering my personal favorite trial song of all of them, which is Saron, Winds of Renewal. Now, me personally, it was not the first song I played when I started Thera. That would be Lagro, and we will go over Lagro at a later date. But Saron was the one that entranced me the most and had me keep going the game for such a long time. So let's go ahead and cover my favorite song, and let me try not to show a bunch of bias towards it. So first up, we have our ace creature, which a lot of you are going to find really strange when you realize what the other ace creatures are for the other songs, and that would be Traveling Necromancer. So, he's a spirit. He is from the nation of Saron, represented by a nice little wing there, and I gotta say I like that. He's a level 1 with 50 power and 1 damage. So you may be wondering, why is he so special compared to the other bosses? Because he's the only boss that's actually a level 1. You see, the boss of Lyrica, Lagro, and Arizon are all level 3s. The boss of Drafir is a level 2. This is the only one that's a boss of level 1, and it will be the only one forever, basically. So yeah, Traveling Necromancer is a very interesting level 1, but here's his ability though. Pay 3, Renew 3. Now Renew is active when you just pay the cost, but Renew is choose a creature whose level is less than or equal to the Renew value from your drop zone, special summon it. So that does not mean you special summon 3 creatures, but that means you special summon a level 3 or lower creature for his Renew. Now there are going to be cards that are like Renew 2 or Renew 1. That just means you summon a creature of that value or lower. So if you had Renew 2, you summon a level 2 or lower from your drop zone. If it's Renew 1, you just summon a level 1 from your drop zone. But you don't get to summon multiple things, you just get to summon one. So all around, you may think that's pretty okay. It's like it's a hefty cost because it's paid 3, but you have to remember it's Renew 3. That means any creature that has entered your drop zone up to this point, you can call it. That's good. He's not a once per turn, so if you have the multiple pays to use him, you can use him, and that's a total of 3 times, unless you find a way to unflip your damage. You can bring back such powerful creatures all via his effect, and all around he's just really good. Like, that's why Traveling Necromancer is my favorite, or one of my favorite Saron cards ever, just because it allows you to access your drop zone in such a way and basically gives you free reign over anything that's never entered there. So anything that is destroyed and goes there, you can just call it back. And he has shield. Granted, he has like the least amount of power for a level 1 because such a powerful ability has to be some restriction to him, which is the power, but he's still good, and I like him as a level 1 so far, obviously. Then we have Childlike Wrath, or Wraith. I don't know how to say that. So he's a spirit. He's also a level 1. 1 damage, 50 power. I think that's the running trend between all these cards for Saron, because a lot of them can just be brought back and have a lot of, I guess, cool abilities, what we can call them, that their power has to be restricted, but that's fair. So he has a shield icon as well, and when this creature enters the field, if it was special summon, he gets plus 50 power for the turn. So if you combine with Traveling Necromancer's skill to pay 3 and bring him back from the drop zone, he'll have a total of 100 power. Now, obviously, 100 power is just the standard power that all the other level 1s have, but that's still good for Saron, because Saron does need that little power gain, considering they're normally typically weak, so being able to go on par with other creatures is a good thing. Now, you may be wondering, based off just these first 2 cards, you're all probably thinking, well, what's the point of playing Saron? Like, yeah, sure, you can call a bunch of level 3s from your drop zone, but 1, you have to get them into the drop zone, and 2, even if you do call certain things out from the drop zone, like Childlike Wrath, aren't you only on even power? The answer to that is kind of. Where the kind of comes in, we'll get to later, but I'm just telling you right now, don't click off the video because you think Saron isn't a good song, because I promise you it is, and that might be bias speaking, but that's also just me being able to be really good with the song is. So, around Childlike Wrath is pretty good. He's just a free 50, and obviously you want to call him from effects, so if he's the only thing in your drop zone, he's not the worst thing to call. Then we have our safeguard, Necromancer Rayless. Okay, so he's a spirit, he's our safeguard. Discard this card from your hand, stop one opposing attack. Standard safeguard ability, and he has the standard stats of 1 damage and 50 power. Now, my thing with Rayless is this. The way the character who used the song in the anime, Hayate Yutaka, does is she discards the safeguard a lot. And I would say you don't need to do that, but to be fair with you, I do it too. I summon the safeguard because, to be honest with you, the deck doesn't really need defensive power. The way I think this should be used is all-out attack, no holding back. If you have the chance to summon a creature regardless of what it is, especially because summoning creatures is a main mechanic of this song, and it benefits a very certain card that can lead to various different combo plays. So even if Necromancer Rayless is the only card in your hand, even if it's the only creature in your hand, you should definitely still called, especially if you have that one specific card I'm talking about, and we will get to it later. So all around, Rayleigh is a good card just because he can either lead into combo plays because he's a creature, or just because he has a really high defensive value for being a safeguard, and that's obviously something you want in a very aggressive song. So 4 Rayleigh. Then we have Lonely Spectre. So Lonely Spectre is a level 2 with 100 power, 1 damage. Yeah, as I said, Saron is definitely the song where you have a lot lower stats, because normally level 2s don't have this low of stats. But anyways, Lonely Spectre, when he enters the field from your hand, destroy it unless you have another creature on your field. So, if he is the first thing you summon at the start of the game, he dies immediately. So this is why you always either want to call him from Drop Zone, your Song, Banish Zone if you somehow got him in there, or Damage Zone if you somehow got him in there. Obviously, you're not going to be able to summon from any of those except from Drop Zone and Song respectively, but hey, at least he only works from hand, so if he was the only creature you summoned from the Drop Zone while he's the only one on your board, at least he doesn't destroy himself, but otherwise don't summon him first, ever. And then when he's special summoned from anywhere, you draw a card. So that's pretty good. He just allows you to refill your cost, so if you wanted to use Traveling Necromancer to pay 3 and bring this boy back from the Drop Zone, you can use his ability to draw a card and fill up your hand, which is really nice to add a little bit more defensive value to your turn, but also get more creatures to summon for the turn. So around the Lonely Spectre is really good. He's a nice level 2, he costs nothing to use his abilities. He can be a detriment to you because he can destroy himself, but the draw more than makes up for it, so 4 Lonely Spectre. Then we have Clustered Phantoms. So, Clustered Phantoms is a level 2 with 150 power, 1 damage. The unfortunate part about this is the strongest creature in your song. So, you know, if you were going to go 1v1 against another trial song, most likely, in terms of power, you would lose, considering your strongest creature is this. So, that's a thing to keep in mind, but outside of that, his skill is when he's special summoned, you and your opponent both discard a card from your hand. Now, for your opponent, that might not matter. For you, that might not matter, but for your opponent, that would matter a lot, because you're forcing both players to discard when you may be wondering, why would it not affect you at all? Because you can then use Traveling Necromancer to get the card you discard back. Yeah, but the way this song works, you can just send stuff to Drop Zone, call them back, and because a lot of them have a bunch of on-place abilities, you can kind of just keep looping their on-place abilities over and over and over again, as long as you can keep paying the cost to bring them back continuously. So while technically both of you are losing hand cards, your hand cards are going to the board, their hand cards are just staying in the Drop Zone. So all around, Cluster Phantoms is a really nice level 2. It's definitely your strongest card, both in terms of abilities and power alone, but it helps screw over your opponent, so why not run out of 4 of? Then we have 4 copies of our last creature, which is Vicious Wrath, or Wraith. Again, still don't know how to say it. So he also has a rune icon, or gift icon. I don't know why I always want to say rune icon. And anyways, I think this is the song that has the most amount of cards I can gift check. But either way, Vicious Wraith's ability, when he enters the field, regardless of where it's from, both you and your opponent just drop a card from your hand. So that's pretty good. You can combo him with the boy Traveling Necromancer to bring him back to the board, and then force both players to discard one. And like I said before, with Clustered Phantoms, that's really good, because you're just probably going to call the card you discard while their opponent is actually discarding one. And I definitely like playing with Vicious Wrath back when the game was in its earlier stages, because comboing that, even when you only had 3 creatures, because that's at some point what Thera was very fun doing, because no one could really keep up with that level of combo play. And that's for his other ability. He's discard card, renew 1. So basically call a level 1 from your Drop Zone. So all around, that's pretty good. Not only can you just call the card you discard if you did discard a level 1, but he just has like the easiest cost in the world. My favorite thing to do with this song is get to the point where you have such little hand cards that discarding isn't possible for you, because you have 0 hand cards, where your opponent actually has to discard cards. So around, Vicious Wrath is really good. He helps increase your Drop Zone for cards you can call through abilities like, for example, Vicious Wrath or Traveling Necromancer, so you don't have to waste time summoning big level 3s if you ever added level 3 to the song. And not to mention, he's not the only one that has Renew in this song, but he at least helps Traveling Necromancer and gets out Traveling Necromancer via his own Renew. So around, Vicious Wrath is definitely a good level 2. I'd say it's probably the star of this song, along with Traveling Necromancer. Like this and Traveling Necromancer you always want to have on your field, so obviously 4 Vicious Wrath just because it's that good. Then we have our spells. So we had a total 6 creatures. I think that may have been the most, or the second most out of all of them for creature lineups anyways. But as for the spells, we have Ferocious Winds. So I am biased towards this card, because I love Ferocious Winds. Back when I started Thera, and back when I started using Saron, this was the card I spammed every game, and the person that fought against me knows that very well, and it's still my favorite card to this day. I just draw it less. So anyways, Ferocious Winds, by milling the top 2 cards of your song, you draw 2. So basically, by sending the top 2 cards of your song to the Drop Zone, you get to draw 2 cards. So all around, that's a pretty neat ability. It's just a mill 2, draw 2, and that's nice because not only does it fill up your drop zone for your new skills like Traveling Necromancer and Vicious Wraith or Vicious Wrath, but it also gets you 2 hand cards to draw. I think it's one of the better +2s we have in the entirety of, not in the entirety of Thera, but in the entirety of the Trial Songs, is because it gets you those hand cards that you need to survive with and combo with, and all around Ferocious Winds is just a good card. Like, even outside of this Trial Song, I still run it at least a 3 of in all my other songs. So, for Ferocious Winds, it's just a good draw card, and that's the sole reason alone you should run it in your song. Then we have Unforgiving Winds. So Unforgiving Winds, our only trap card and our only spell card for Ferocious Winds over there, pay 2, return an attacking creature to the top of its owner's song. So, here's the fun thing with Unforgiving Winds, and it's an interesting factor. Because traps can be played whenever they go off, you could technically send the attacking creature to the top of their to the owner's song, and I know that just reading the skill, but basically what that means is, yes, when your opponent attacks you, you can send their creature to the top of their song, and if they get a gift check out of the attack, then the gift check still goes through, so technically speaking, their gift check would just be the same creature, but they go to the top before they do the gift check. But you could also send your own creature to the top of your song, which means that if for some reason you're attacking into a bigger creature, you can quickly nullify the attack by sending it to top, and if you're doing a gift check, obviously the card will go to your hand. So, Unforgiving Winds is weirdly enough one of the better combo cards, because it can just either get you a creature that's already attacking back into your hand, or it can send an opponent's creature back to the hand. I mean, it says it's a top first, so it's not automatically back into the hand, but yeah, you get the point. Unforgiving Winds is a really good card, especially in a song where you have a lot of low power rates, but it's also really good in a song where you just have a bunch of on-place abilities, you can just bounce them back to you. So all around, Unforgiving Winds is a nice trap card. I love it. It either nullifies attacks, or it can just get combo plays off, so 4 of. Then we have Spirit's Blessing. So remember that card earlier that I said with when we were on Travel Like Wrath that I said made this song a kind of with power bases? Yeah, Spirit's Blessing is why. So Spirit's Blessing is a pay 1 to place it, and that's the only cost it has on it for whatever reason, but its other ability is each time you perform a special summon, all of your creatures get plus 50 power until the end of the turn. Now, 50 power is the dumbest buff I have ever seen, because here's the thing, yeah, it's only 50 power, it's not that a lot, but when you can special summon a lot every turn, that is something you can get on, because remember, both Vicious Wrath and Traveling Necromancer are not once per turns, and with just this song alone, you can special summon a total of 4 times in a turn. So, and just those 2 and then combo of 2 other cards that we're about to get to, so that's a total of 200 power to your whole field. I mean, yes, the creature summoned last obviously will not get all the power unless you did it all at once, but that is a lot of power because that power stacks up quickly. So the ones that were on the field at the start of this special summoning loop are the ones that get the most power, and they're swinging for stronger than any other ace creature. Yes, while this song inherently has the least amount of power out of every other song, it can get the most power out of every other song. So, and that's the reason is because why. So, for Spirit's Blessing, it's just really good. It's so strong, and I love it for that. And it also has a good art. Then we move on to our last rune and our last card in the deck that isn't triggers, and that would be Rite of Awakening. So Rite of Awakening is not a once per turn, is pay 2, renew X, where X is the number of summons you've performed this turn. So again, you don't summon that many creatures, but you summon up to that level. So for example, since renew X is equal to the number of summons, if you've summoned 4 times this turn, you can special summon a level 4 or lower from your drop zone. Now there are no level 4s in the game, nor there will be for now, but basically that just gives you a free summon of whatever you want from your drop zone. And that's really good. I remember the game versus Hayate versus Kyoshi, which has not gone up yet, but hopefully will go up soon, where this card basically allowed me to go, and that in Necromancer Rayless, this card in Necromancer Rayless allowed me to go from a 0 field to almost a full field, and if I didn't forget to use a skill, then I would have had a full field from that turn, and all of my creatures would have had the ability to hit into a Michael, which had 250 power, the strongest base power in the game known to you guys. So, Rite of Awakening is really good. Yes, it's a pay 2, so combined with Traveling Necromancer is kind of hefty, but it allows for so much power plays, especially with Spirit's Blessing. So obviously you want to run out of 4 just because it works with normal summons as well, and it can kick off your summoning methods very quickly. So 4 for Rite of Awakening. And then we have our trigger lineup. First up, we have our damage triggers. So you know, they're just the 50 shields, but they deal 1 damage to your opponent when you check them. Okay, pretty good. So if you're mass power gaining with Spirit's Blessing and rushing attacks with all your creatures wasn't enough to kill them, damage triggers definitely will. The draw triggers to increase your hand, because with all the discarding you do, you're definitely going to need draws to keep up with your opponent, especially just because you're going to have to defend yourself somewhere in the early game. Even if you go all out at the start of the game, which you're supposed to with this song, you're still going to need the hand cards to defend yourself. And then we have our heal trigger, which I gotta admit, I like the arts for a lot of these cards. I really like them. Like, this art of Traveling Necromancer looks so cool. I like the white in his eyes. I like the cute girl smiling. It's just all around a nice thing. And then we have our final card, quote unquote, show off. It's not something new, but it's just the SPR of our Traveling Necromancer. So, little lore behind this. This is Dixel, the spirit. The person who did this art's gonna vastly disagree with me on who this is, but I named it first, so his name is Dixel. So yeah, Dixel and Traveling Necromancer over here. And that's pretty much it for the song, but I will show off to you the spreader of the song. So you can see the trigger lineup 2, which is 2 draws, 3 damages, and 5 heals. So I'm ending here. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, this song is genuinely really good. Yes, it's the most aggressive one out of the bunch. It is the one that has the least amount of defenses out of the bunch, but it's definitely the one that can lead off the most combo plays and be the most aggressive. So I hope I'm ending here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that bell notification so you can see when we upload, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!